David Carter had spent 15 years building Carter Dynamics from a tiny warehouse into one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies. Since losing his wife, he had balanced board meetings with school pickups, bedtime stories, and weekend soccer games with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Everyone admired him, not just because he was successful, but because he never let success replace family. Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday morning. Just as David began presenting a new expansion plan to investors, the conference room doors burst open. Federal agents entered, flashing badges before anyone could react. "David Carter, you're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy." The room fell silent. Employees stared in disbelief as handcuffs clicked around David's wrists. Cameras from local news stations somehow arrived within minutes, broadcasting the shocking scene live. David looked only at one photograph on his desk, Lily smiling at the beach. "I didn't do this," he whispered. No one listened. Inside the federal courthouse, rumors spread that Carter Dynamics had secretly stolen millions through fake international contracts. The evidence looked overwhelming. Forged signatures, hidden bank transfers, and confidential emails. Even David's closest executives began distancing themselves. Then the courtroom doors opened. Federal Prosecutor Sarah Mitchell entered with the case files in her hands. She glanced toward the defendant. Suddenly, she stopped walking. Her face turned pale. "David." The judge looked confused. "Prosecutor Mitchell, is something wrong?" She remained silent for several seconds before speaking. "Your Honor, I know this man." The courtroom erupted in whispers. 20 years earlier, Sarah had been a frightened teenager trapped in an abusive home. One freezing winter night, after escaping with nowhere to go, a young college student named David Carter had found her sitting alone outside a train station. He bought her dinner, paid for a hotel room, called a trusted social worker, then disappeared without asking for anything in return. That single act of kindness had saved her life. Sarah had never forgotten his face. She requested a brief recess. Inside the evidence room, she personally reviewed every document again. Something felt wrong. The financial records were almost too perfect. Dates matched suspiciously. Electronic signatures had identical timing patterns impossible for genuine transactions. Sarah ordered an emergency forensic audit. Within hours, digital investigators uncovered the truth. Someone inside Carter Dynamics had manipulated the accounting system for over 2 years. The mastermind wasn't David, it was his ambitious chief financial officer, Mark Reynolds. Mark had quietly created fake companies, redirected millions, and forged every document to make David appear responsible. His plan was simple: remove David, take control of the company, sell it before anyone discovered the missing money. When confronted with the new evidence, Mark panicked. He attempted to flee the country but was arrested at the airport carrying fake passports and encrypted hard drives containing every detail of the scheme. The next morning, the courtroom reconvened. Sarah stood before the judge. "Your Honor, after reviewing newly verified forensic evidence, the government withdraws all charges against David Carter." Gasps filled the courtroom. The judge immediately ordered David's release. As the handcuffs came off, David didn't celebrate. He simply asked one question. "Can someone call my daughter? She's probably worried." Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded him. One journalist shouted, "Mr. Carter, how does it feel to get your company back?" David smiled softly. "My company can be rebuilt." He paused. "But the most valuable thing I almost lost was my daughter's belief that her father always tells the truth." That evening, Lily ran into his arms. "I knew you didn't do it," she whispered. David hugged her tightly, tears filling his eyes. Sometimes justice arrives late. Sometimes truth hides behind mountains of lies. But one act of kindness, done years ago without expecting anything in return, had returned at the exact moment it was needed most. And that day, everyone learned that integrity may be attacked, but it can never truly be handcuffed.